Good evening, Bhante and all Kalyanamitas, Sukihotu and Aliana. Welcome to Sutta Discussion Day 19 by Bhante Dr. Gangodawila Chandima. Tonight we are still discussing about Ratana Sutta, the second sutta from the total of 10 suttas that have been chosen by Bhante Chandima for this sutta discussion. For those who wish to join the discussion via Zoom class, where we can engage directly with Bhante, kindly contact us on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Clan's Facebook Messenger. The class is still open for the newcomer. However, this class also will be broadcast on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Clan Facebook page and YouTube channel. Now, I would like to introduce about our speaker, Bhante Dr. Gangodawila Chandima is currently the senior advisor at Ti-Ratana Canada, a virtual Dharma organization that helps beginner as well as expert students in learning Dharma in a variety of ways. Many people are interested in Dhamma Pariyesana, Ti-Ratana's most acclaimed interview series, which Bhante conducts on regular basis. You can check on Ti-Ratana with the link www.ti-ratana.blogspot.com. Bhante Chandima earned a PhD in Buddhist Studies in 2015 from University of Sri Jayawardenepura in Sri Lanka. From 2012 to 2015, Bhante served as Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. And in 2016, Bhante was a research fellow at the Center for the Studies in Religion and Society of the University of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Without further ado, we welcome once again Bhante, and thank you very much for the talk. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good evening, Ariana. Ling. We have Bella and Emma. I think some others might join during the time. So we'll come back to our Friday Sutta discussion. Today is day 19, as exactly Ariana told us. It's been some time now. Today we have come to the last session about the Ratana Sutta. That means we are going to move on to a new sutta from next week. The new sutta is a sutta that we all know, which is very popular, Metta Sutta. Some people put it with the title Karaniya Metta Sutta. Karaniya, should, not just the metta, loving kindness. Metta, which should be done, Karaniya Metta Sutta, which has a very interesting two aspects about our life, about metta. So, because we're going to wind up the final portion of the Ratana Sutta, we are aiming at verse number 14 and the 3 stanzas after that, which are said to be what we call feedback kind of verses that were not recited by the Buddha, but by the god Sakka, I would say, Indra. So they are normally not the exact sutta. So the sutta starts from Yankinchi and then ends. The real sutta ends in what you call Kina Purana from this stanza. Then somebody might ask, what about the usual feedback statements of other suttas that you see at the end? If you can remember, Abhikantang Bhogotama Abhikantang, Mul Hasava Magang Achikeya, so on and so forth. So there is a feedback statement at the end of many suttas, right? So then how do we take it? Do we take it or not? But we only take the synopsis of the Buddha, but we also say the background story as a part of the sutta. Okay, so let's get into the discussion, but before that, we're going to pay homage to the Buddha 3 times. Let's put our palms together and then say Namo Tassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. So, we're going to look at verse number 14. So, who would like to recite this stanza? Kina Purana. Oh, we have Vinita today. I wonder Vinita can help us. Vinita, can you hear us?
Yes, no,
Great. Yeah. So you have verse number 14 with us.
verse 14, right?
Yeah, verse 14.
Okay. Kinam Puranam Navam Nati Sabbhavam Virata Chitta Ayatike Bhavasmin Te Kina Bija Aviruchin Chinchanda Nibbanti Dirha Yatta Yampadi Po Idampe Sange Ratanam Panitam Etena Sajchena Suwati Hotu.
Great. You did it, but there are a couple of things that we're gonna
Yeah, I know.
pronounce properly.
Struggling.
There's no harm, because you have the good intention, right? Okay. Kinang Puranam Navam Natti Sambhavam Virata Chitta Ayatike Bhavasmi Te Kina Bija Avirulhi Chanda. This is the place where you get stuck, It's kind of a combined Pali word. Avirulhi Chanda. It's combined. There are two words actually. Because in Pali language, they combine words for the euphony, for the easy pronunciation, articulation. Nibbanti dhira yathayam adipu idang pisanghe ratnam panita etena satchena swati. Okay, so this is about the Sangha, right? And the most important, I guess, aspect about the Sangha and what does the community of the Sangha end up at the end, right? So, what is Kina? What is Purana here? What is Purana? Now, in Pali, we say Purana to be, Vinita, you can recall Purana in Sinhala means past, right? Past. Purana. Pali, it's the same. Kina Purana. So that means whatever the karma that has been done in the past is or exhausted. That means not effective anymore. Why is it? Kina Purana. Purana means the karmas that have been done by that particular person, people in their previous lives, right? So why and how someone comes to that point? Can a Sotapanna make that in his life or her life? How does this extension or I would say ending of the past karma happen to us? Now, what's happening now at this point? We have been experiencing the effects of lots of previous karmas, even now. Now in Abhidhamma, it says even the mood that we are having. We have lots of mood changes, especially some people. Now that person is very happy, but in the next moment, very annoyed, Why is it? Abhidhamma says it is because of a past karma. We call it rootless thought in Abhidhamma. So these sudden mood changes mostly come from past karmas. There's no reason that happens to that particular person, but that person is unhappy at that point. It happens, right? There's nothing, nobody is doing anything to that particular person, but he or she is simply unhappy, annoyed, irritated. Right? Very fundamental stuff, right? They say it is because of the influence of past karma. So past karmas are really affecting us, right? Influencing us. But who is this person who is ending the past karmas at this point? This person should be an no, Sotapanna still has some karmas. Still, he is doing some more karmas too, but not like us. But he's still, she's still struggling with some other karmas, right? Like we talked the other day. Who this could be? Like
Is it Arahants?
an Arahant. This is an Arahant. So in Arahant's case, Arahant has ended all the past karmas. Then you would consider, wonder about what about his and her karmas he or she is doing till he dies or she dies. We call them, we have to look at Abhidhamma for that. We call those karmas to be, how do we call them? Let's say an Arahant, you don't know he's an Arahant, offering a tray of flowers in front of a Buddha statue. Is that a good karma? That's a good karma, right? An Arahant is going to the shrine room and then offering that big tray of flowers or maybe medicinal drinks. Is that a good karma? Is it a good karma for an Arahant?
Yes.
No. Arahants have stopped good and bad karma. So every action that he or she is doing after becoming an Arahant are called as Kriya Chittas in Abhidhamma. They are just functions. There are no karma elements associated with those actions. Interesting, huh? See now, you don't understand this from Sutta Pitaka, right? See, I'm not going to teach you the whole big Abhidhamma, but I'm telling you some interesting parts. Arahants have stopped good karma, bad karma, because she has already crossed the samsara. Like those of us who have not yet crossed the samsara still struggle, associate those things. So in Abhidhamma it says, Arahants have some thoughts where they don't have wisdom. And there are also some other thoughts that Arahants have where they have wisdom. That means Arahants don't have wisdom at all times. Now you might be confused about it. You might, okay, Arahants have come to the wisdom. Yes, that's not the wisdom we are talking here for them. Now, let's say, remember there was an Arahant who was talking to everybody by calling an outcast. Do you think that Arahant has wisdom at that point? No.
No.
That means he or she is not creating karma, but there are some influences that Arahants may carry. Now, what happened to Mahamogga Arahant Moggalla?
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that question about Moggalla. Because
Yes.
he was an Arahant, right?
Yeah. We'll take that to the end of the discussion. I mean, pretty interesting stories, not even Arahant Moggalla. What about other Arahants? Sariputta, Mahakassapa, he was very sick. See in the Bojjhanga Sutta. And what about Angulimal? He was pelted stone by other folks, right? So why these come, even though they stop, why these influences of the karma still coming after? There are influences. What about the Buddha? Why he got a headache? Why he got the back pain? There are reasons given. So this means they have stopped the past karma. Their past karmas are stopped, but still some elements of the past karmas come as an influence. You can't stop it because, Arhan Moggallana killed his mother and father. It's a heinous karma, most serious karma. So he has been facing all the, what you call, vipakas for that for long time. Though he could manage to survive out of all this, but even after he became an Arahant, some of the influences of the bad karma still coming after him, right? That's why it's very dangerous to do a bad karma, right? But the idea in the Ratana Sutta here says, Kinam Puranam, the past karmas have been stopped. Giving the bigger scale of that what you call the level, that degree has been stopped. But still, some influences come depending on the bad karma or good karma they have done. For example, now you ask me about Arhan Moggallana. What about Arhan Sivali? Now it is said that whenever the Buddha goes for Pindapata, he looks back and asks from the second monk, is Arhan Sivali in the lineup? Because when he joins, they get a lot of food on the way. So how come those good karmas still come after them? Look at the bad karmas, they definitely come out. Even the good karmas come out. That means these influences keep coming to us. But they have stopped. The past karmas have been stopped. They are not doing any karmas now. They are called as Kiriya Chitta in Abhidhamma. You don't find it any explanation in Sutta Pitaka. So that is why it is said their past karmas have been ineffective in the larger, broader sense. But some of the influences still carry. We will talk a little bit more during the discussion. Navam Natti Sambhavam. How do we take it? Navam. What is Navam? New karma. Sambhavam. New karma. And Sambhavam. They don't create new karmas for the becoming. There is no becoming for an Arahant. Right? What is becoming here? What is becoming? Sambhavam. Find the usual very popular Pali word here. Can you find it? What's the very popular Pali word with this Sambhavam? Bhava. Bhava. What is Bhava? Bhava means next life, right? Bhava means next life. So what has happened to the next life of an Arahant? There's no next life for an Arahant. So they have stopped. That means they are not, whatever the karmas they are doing are not leading them to a next life, right? That means even the new karmas are not produced. All karmas are ineffective. New karmas are not produced. Now, what do we do here? Even here, what do? We are not doing bad karma. We are producing new karmas, good karmas for the future. Not even that. Now, let's say you had a bad, event, I would say, bad encounter, a memory with somebody. Now, whenever you keep thinking about that bad activity that happened to you, bad incident, even now, you create more karma based on a past karma. Let's say somebody told you something 5 years ago. That was a bad thing. You were also bad to that person, or you said something. But now today, after 6-7 years, you think about, this person told me this. So you are creating new karma for the past karma. See, we are creating lots of karma. So the production of karmas is such a very chaotic and very dangerous thing in a way, unless we filter out what to do, what to produce, and how to look at them. Okay, so they are not creating new karmas for the next. So how do we understand the Pali words? Navang means new. Sambhava means the new karmas for the next life. Natti means no. Not even that. Viratta chitta. What is viratta? In Pali, ratta means you attach to something. Ratta means attachment. Viratta means no attachment.
No attachment.
Viratta chitta, that means your mind is not attached Through what? Ayatike bhavasmi. Ayati means future life. Bhavasmi means life. Your mind is not attached to future life. What about many of the devotees, people we know in today's world? Is their mind attached to this world or next world? Why do a lot of people do a lot of good things? Huh? Just imagine, huh? How do we take Ratana Sutta's idea here? I want to be reborn in a Tusita heaven. I want to become this and that. Because there are some, I'm not naming anybody's name, it's not a good idea. Because the one aspect of the samsara has been wrongly overemphasized. Let's say, look at a cat and a dog. You want to be a cat or a dog? If not, do more good karma. Only one aspect of the samsara has been overemphasized. So then what happens? They have to think about a better life at that point. But in Buddhism, that's not how the karma teaching has been taught. That is Hindu karma. Hindu karma is do this and you will be like this. Do that, you'll be like this. If you don't do, you're going to be like this. In Buddhist concept of karma, it says karma is danger. You have to stop the karma. Otherwise, you won't become an arahant at a certain point. But please understand, we never know when we're going to make it. So till that, you're going to make good karma, but not to be reborn in heaven, not to be reborn in this and that. So that is craving, right? That is how we're going to deal with that. So we still need good karma, but not to be born that. Main aim is till I attain Nibbana, I need a comfortable life, right? Let's say if I were to be reborn as a dog, how can I practice Dhamma? You won't be able to get a taste of Dhamma, right? That's how we're going to look at it. Not because, not becoming a dog, but becoming a god. That way of teaching is not a good idea. Then what happens over time is that devotees are craving for the next life. This is what has been happening now. They are craving. They have a competition. Okay, I'm going to do the katina. You can't do that. I'm going to take it this time. There's a huge competition, right? Good karma, but they are highly, competing each other. At the end, they ended up with some of the probably bad experiences too. Sometimes, some places, I know. So that's why we have to be very careful in promoting next life. The Buddha said, I can tell you the exact place. It's a very interesting statement. I do not praise the next life even for a moment. Interesting. Huh? I do not praise the next life even for a moment. That means any teaching that is always discussed about a very, a beautiful next life is not the idea of the Buddha. Other religions do that, right? I'm not saying what religions they are. There are some people in the recent times, they even did bad things. They killed many people to be reborn in that place. Have you heard that? Sometimes some people say, I want to be there because of that, because somebody told me. So we have no differences with them, right? The Buddhist idea of karma is we are involving with good karma, giving up the bad karma, because we never know when we're going to attain Nibbana, but our aim is not to aspire, not to wish to be reborn in a better place. Only wish is to attain Sotapanna, at least Sotapanna, the bare minimum. So now, this Arahant's perspective is there is no attachment to the mind, and then, especially for the next life. That means, can an Arahant give a Dhamma talk about the Tusita world? Devotees, please do this dana, good karma to become a good person in the next world. They won't talk about it. They talk about do this to give up your lobha, dosa, moha to become a Sotapanna or an Arahant. That's what they see. In case, because to be reborn in a good place, you don't need to wish. It will happen to you. Let's say you are not able to attain Sotapanna in this life. So when you die, definitely you have a chance of being reborn in a better place, depending on what you were able to think about. last meaning. Then it explains furthermore about the state of their arahanthood. The kina bija. How do we pronounce that? The kina bija, not kina kija. Some people say kina kija. The kina bija. What is bija? Huh? What is bija in Pali? Bija means seeds. Seeds. Any seed, huh? So they destroy the seeds of next life. They destroy the seed of next life. Not even that. Avirulhi chanda. Now chanda means, what is chanda? Chanda means desire, right? It's desire. And avirulhi, now we call the Pali, another Pali word is avirulha chanda means virulha chanda virahita. That means you have no desire to grow in looking at the seeds of a next life, right? You don't have any seeds of desires of being born in a next life. That means in our deep mind, we should cultivate thoughts of not creating even the seeds of next life. Just imagine, huh? Even the seeds. That's the idea. Avirulhi chanda. Because an arahant usually, I would say automatically, destroys the seeds of next life. What about the seeds of next life? There are people who are expecting the whole new life, not the seeds of next life. The whole, let me be reborn in a nice mansion in heaven, that huge, big thing, not the seeds. Just imagine, it's funny enough to talk about how people aspire their next life. And then Nibbanti Dhira Yathayang Padi. This is very interesting. Now, this is the answer to the question that a lot of people ask. What does a person who has attained Nibbana function after they die? Right? This is the question that a lot of people ask. It is said that their death is like a lamp, right? It is said that Nibbanti Dhira Yathayam Paripo. When the I would say candle or lamp is extinguished or blown out, how can we say where the light went? What's the direction where the light went? Can we have an idea about it? Yeah, it's the light of the lamp. Can we say the light went to this direction, northern direction, southern, western, eastern, or maybe southwest, east-west, then wherever? We can't say. In the same way, because when you're too much attached to your self-identity, you want to, sometimes you might question, where does this person go after that? Let me find out, maybe this direction, that direction. Because there are no karmas left. Because there are no karmas they have produced at that point. By that point, their life is done at that point. Probably you can say Arahant's body, let's say his or her bodies, different elements will get recycled. Let's say the solid parts of the body will be recycled back to the solidity, Patavi Dhatu, solidity element. Then the fluid parts of the Arahant's body will be recycled back to fluidity. Let's say, we could say the water element, right? The temperature thing, because when you die, that means your temperature should stop too, right? That means the temperature will get back to the temperature outside of your body. That means this thing will be recycled back, temperature part. Then the motion part, your last breath, you die at this point. You die. The moment you're going to die, just before you're going to die, you have the last breath. That breath will be recycled back to the air. Somebody's going to breathe that, right? So it looks like that our body is made of 4 elements. The stuff that we had through 4 elements will be recycled back to the 4 elements. But your karma, what you call your karma vinyana or bhavanga vinyana, already has been stopped. And then you are not going anywhere. You are exiting from the samsara. You are actually, better put, is that you are exiting, you are going away from the Mara's bondage. That's how we understand. So that is how we answer to anybody about what can happen to someone who has arahants after that person dies. So this is one of the very important qualities of the Sangha. On account of this truth, may there be peace and what you call safety and all that. Any questions about it? I think this has some questions, so we can discuss about it before we moving on to the 3 stanzas. They are not actually the big part of the what you call the sutta, because they are just recited by the Sangha. Yeah. We can talk about, discuss about some of the karmas that affected some arahants. I said about Arahant Angulimala. Now, what happened to Angulimala? Now, Angulimala became a monk and then he got enlightened. But still, people do not understand what he did. So people trying to pile stones at him. So that means some of the karmas still follow, but not as a whole. So even the good karmas. And I also said about the mood, changes in the mood. Psychologically, they say, you know what, it's not about anything about spiritual, it's about your chemicals, neurochemicals. You have a shortage of neurochemicals, dopamine, cortisol. I'm gonna treat you, gonna give you this kind of stuff, so that you are okay. That's a psychological way of treating that. But in Buddhism, it says no. These have connections to the past life, right? I tell you some of the stories that I can remember offhand. If you have read about the book written by Edgar Cayce, Edgar Cayce. Now, in Edgar, this is a very old researcher. We had to look at new research too, because after that, this gentleman called Ian Stevenson from Virginia State University done a research from Sri Lanka, 1,000 case studies about karma, long back in 70s. But nowadays, I don't think there are a lot of research, but there are some research, but not like case studies, So in Edgar Cayce's, I would say, conversations, he pointed out a woman who had a back pain. It's a chronic back pain for long. And then he hypnotized the woman. And then she was explaining something. She was a onlooker in a big stadium in the time of Greek kings. So what they did at that time was they bring some men and also some lions. They setting lions to eat men alive. So then everybody was happy and enjoying how the lions eat humans on the ground. She was one of the onlookers in the audience. She was happy too. So you are happy for someone's fate and you got the back pain. Nobody can cure that back pain. Interesting, huh? That means not even doing bad karma, but also being happy about somebody's bad karma is such a bad thing, right? You should not be happy for somebody's bad karma. Some people do that, right? Let's say 2 people have an argument, and the person that another person, let's say A is trying to blame B, but B is a common enemy of you also. Right? I mean, an example, some people. So because the B, that your common enemy, is getting blamed, you happy too, because, okay, this is something that I couldn't have done. Somebody is doing the same thing to someone. See this what do you call the evil intention thoughts, right? So we should not be happy when somebody, even on internet, anywhere, because that time there was on internet, it's all mind-based, right? You should have this empathy and compassion for anybody's what do you call the fight, the sad situations. So that means these things still, keep coming from the past life. Okay, I think we got a question here. Yeah, we got a question. Okay, Bhante, does Kiriya Chitta, functional mind, only exist at Arahant mind? What about Anagami, Sakadagami? Folks, I think some of you don't know this Kiriya Chitta. I just explained in in layman terms. Now in Abhidhamma, actually a lot of Sutta Pitaka teachings cannot be understood properly without some help of Abhidhamma. So this is a very kind of a disappointing reason for you, all of you. But don't be disappointed, because we have to know the basics of Abhidhamma. That's enough at this point. In Abhidhamma, they talk about the mind in 4 ways: Chitta, Cetasika, Rupa, Nibbana. They talk about thoughts, 89 thoughts, 421. There's a 2 division. We normally take 89. And then 52 Cetasikas, mental factors that actually simultaneously occur within each thought. Not each thought, many thoughts. And then the Rupa, corporeality, that means our material parts. It's a very big discussion in Abhidhamma. And then Nibbana. Nibbana. So in the discussion of the thoughts, they talk about 8 functional thoughts that are only applicable to an Arahant and upwards. That means, Chan, these individuals don't, we don't consider these individuals in the discussion of the functional mind, Kriya Chitta. Sotapannas, Anagamis, Sakadagamis, they are not considered in talking functional mind. Only when you attain Nibbana and upwards, we assume that that particular person has a Kriya Chitta. Because Sotapanna, see, Anagami still creates karma. What are the karmas Anagami can do? Ruparaga, desires for being reborn in the Brahma world. Still, Anagami still likes such things. Arupa Raga, that means the second one, that means Anagami still likes to be reborn in a immaterial world, like Akasanan Chayatana, Vinyanan Chayatana, Nevasanyana, Asanyatana, Akinchanyatana, those 4. And Anagami person still has uddacha, restlessness, still has some distractions when he or she is living till Nibbana. We call uddacha. And then Anagami person still has conceit, because I am Anagami, you are Sakadagami. Right, I am Anagami. People like to say like that, right? Some people say, I'm a very old devotee in this temple. You are pretty new here. You should know. You should do what I say. This can happen, right? I know this ceremony better than you. Because you're always separating you from them to create some mana, conceit. Anagami also has this problem. Say, you know what, Sotapanna, I am Anagami. Okay, keep that in mind. Sakadagami still has that problem. That is, you have to become an Arahant actually. And then the Avijja, still has the Avijja. That means Anagami person does not have a Kiriya Chitta, because of those 5 fetters that he or she has still to get over, still in the samsara. That means create still more karma, some karma. Kiriya Chitta only applies to an Arahant, Pacceka Buddha, Sammasambhava. That's how we take. And I think I pointed out something. There are events where only Arahants, not Pacceka Buddha or Sammasambhava, these arahants don't have panya, not the panya that they have in terms of the arahanthood, but the panya that they need to carry on their duties. Let's say now arahant is here eating some food. There are occasions where he or she might not have panya. He or she might eat without panya. But when an arahant is going to give a dhamma talk, meditate, definitely they have the what you call the work-based, that act-based panya also. Okay, any questions about this particular perspective? Hema, I think your mic is mute.
Yes, thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Just now you did mention something about their past is extinct, no more, but there's influences.
Mm-hmm.
That means is it the residues of the karma or what?
We can say like that, but it's not exactly what it is. You know, there are events in our life. Let's say there is supposed to have a ghost in somebody's house. I mean, don't take it seriously. And you chase the ghost out comfortably. Yeah. See, I think this is the month of the ghost, I guess, right? Coming out, they say. Not talking about them, but let's say somebody is chasing out the ghost in a friendly way, not like, hey, go out of my house. But still you have the impact of the ghost, right? So in the same way, the karmas are not effective in a full-blown degree, but still some elements still exist, depending on, okay, I will tell you, depending on how bad or how good it is. I think the idea that the past karmas have been ineffective mostly referred to the medium level karma. You get what I mean? The medium karmas don't try to have an impact on arahants, but the very bad ones and the very good ones still come after us. It happens to us, right? Now in our life, and the people who we have a very huge, strong detachment and an attachment, they come after us. Right? The enemies and friends are always coming with us in the samsara, but not the people we say hi and bye. They don't come to our life oftentimes. This, what you call the lobha dosa, I would say the bad and the good. They are the ones that may have in the form of some of the influences. But if we say that some elements still come, influences still come, then the idea is wrong here. But the idea is not incorrect because the medium level karmas are not going to be effective anymore. You know, which are neither most heinous, or I would say, or what you call superb karmas, highly skillful karmas. They still come after us in certain ways. In certain ways, I guess, not in full blown way too. In certain ways, because the karmas are so powerful.
Bhante, that's the past depends on the severity of the karma. That means the severity is still calm.
Yeah, the severity. The degree, kusala degree and akusala degree. The severity is a very hard thing to decide. Let's say you are going to be mean to a very good person, and you are going to be mean to a mean person. So the severity and the what you call the prioritization that happens immediately with the good person. Let's say you are going to say something bad to a very good person, very nice good person. You're going to experience the effects right away. It happens to most of us. When you say something really wrong to a very good person, you feel very remorseful. You're going to apologize to that person right away. I'm so sorry. Because you feel that remorse keeps coming to you. But the mean person, You say, oh, you're mentally trying to justify it. It's okay because he also said something to me. She also said something to me. You sometimes justify. I'm not saying bad is okay to a bad person, but still we should avoid all the bad. But the ways and means how they work depend on the prioritization that is only applicable to karma itself. That's why the maturity of the karma is very hard to explain. It's very hard to explain. So there is a sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, call it Mahakamma Vibhanga Sutta, not Chulakamma Vibhanga Sutta. In this sutta, Buddha says the way how karmas work to each one. Let's say now we have many people here today, but this karma is going to affect everybody, not in the same way. That is why the Buddha said the effects of the karma, the maturity of the karma cannot be elicited, cannot be taught because it's not linear. You know what does linear mean, right? Not like a line of thing that you say, okay, this one also came to the discussion, so he or she should have the same. No, it's different. We don't know how they join their mindset. Probably yes, but probably not. Just imagine what happened to Kosala Mallika, right? The woman who could do the unparalleled dana to the Samma Sambuddha in the Gautama Buddha's time. You know what happened to her, right? And in order to do that unparalleled dana, Asadisa Mahadana, you need 500 elephants. Can you find it? That's pretty difficult. And the elephants are holding umbrellas towards arahants, 500 arahants. It's pretty difficult, but she did it. What happened to her when she died? She was reborn in a hell for a week. Why is it? Because of something she did. Do your research after this. What she did. Yeah. So that's why it is said, don't think that you read the good karma, I'm good, I'm okay, I'm gonna be not like that, because we don't know. The dynamism of karma is so subtle. But if you do good karmas, it should be okay. But the last karma is something that is really unknown to us. In that sutta, it says there are 4 people. There is one person who is doing good karma and then going to a good place. There's no argument about it because we all know that. The second person does bad karma, and then after the death, he or she is going to be reborn in a death. It's also another unknown thing that we know. But third and fourth phenomena are very unique. There's somebody who is doing good karma, but going to be reborn in a bad place. This is the Gautama Buddha's words. The fourth one is someone who is doing bad karma, who is reborn in a good place. Why is it? Why is that? The Buddha says the reason is sammaditi. When there is a good person, but at the moment of the death, that person has no sammaditi. That means was caught up with a bad thought. That if you have sammaditi, definitely you are okay. That's why I'm always telling people, regardless of how many good karma you do you have sammaditi? At least the 10 things that we discussed the other day. Let me take a look. Do I believe in the spontaneous beings? No. Have sammaditi. Do I think about these other things? Do I take care of my mom? No, I have a problem with my mom. It's a problem. You know? Mm-hmm. I can't talk to my mom. I can't talk to my father. They are really bad people to me. Some people may. Okay, then problem with somebody. Though they were bad, do your best. You won't have any other parents to you. Right? Do your good karma. Because this life you were mistreated. You want to be mistreated in the next lives too? If you want to be. So in that way, the people who had micchaditi, wrong view at the time of the death, that means although you've been doing good karma, you don't have sammaditi at the time of the death. Now somebody might ask, how do I know my death time? That's why we say, at all times, one should be able to, have this sammaditi mentality. Never ever change your mentality into the micchaditi. Why a bad person can be reborn in a good place? The bad person is bad, but at the moment of the death, he or she is having this samadhi in whatever the way. Who knows? Let's say there is a gangster, it's pretty bad to others. But at the moment of the death, he is remorseful, and then he thinks about next life, I should not do this. So even the time that I'm going to spend, probably 1 to 3 minutes, if my time is counted by the doctors, I'm going to be spending metta. So he's making up his mind. She's making up her mind in that one moment. Going to be born, good place. But there is something to say about the third, fourth person. When a good person is reborn because of in a bad place because of the michariti, it doesn't mean that person will be there for long, for a short time, because he or she has done lots of good karma. The multiplicity or the most of the good karmas will come back and take over, back to a good place. Even the bad person is going to be reborn in a bad place, a good place. He or she won't be able to last longer in that life. That's why we see sometimes some children die, in a short amount of time, right? Things like that happen, right? They are not fortunate enough to live longer. That's how we take it. So now, karma maturity is such a very hard concept unless you have the knowledge like the Buddha. Kammassa kata jnana, one of the 73 knowledges of the Buddha. Only a Buddha knows how karma will affect. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any question? Yeah, any questions? Remember the monk called, what's his name? Eraka. Okay, Eraka. There was a monk who was a very good monk, according to the books. Now, there was something happened to him. It is said that some high ordained monks don't break the, the branches of a tree, and he did it. So he was very remorseful about that particular activity. He died. He was reborn as a cobra, a big cobra in the river. Now, the idea here is that, let's say, we all have some dark, I'm not saying this to be true, but as Putujjana, unenlightened folks, we all have some dark areas of our life, even in the past. It can happen, right? At least some minor bad karmas. But now, don't think too much about those bad karmas, because you've been doing lots of good karmas. If you think too much about the bad karmas, they will prioritize over the good karmas. Then you lose the samadhi. Because you know that, because you've been a good person, now you are supposed to think about the good side. Honestly, not like, oh, I'm not going to think about it. You have to make up your mind. There. Yeah. I remember the Western monk, Ajahn Sona in Vancouver, because I've been to his monastery Kamloops a couple of times. He was telling us, he was a musician, he was the pianist before, violinist actually. He said that when he did not know the Buddhism at that time, they were young children, they were going to see the frogs, the big frogs, they're dropping the big stones on the frogs to see how they die. And thinking about that time, that we don't know the karma, what's happening after this, and we were happy about these animals death at that time. At a time we don't know about it. Now we seriously worry about what we did, but not carrying that remorse anymore, because dwelling in the remorse is such bad, because now I'm doing more good things for animals and the people. That's how it's interesting. Okay, if there are no questions, so if you can ask questions. Oh, yeah, Lynn.
Bhante, just about the just now say when the Arahant is attend the Arahant, the karma will stop. It's for the case if the Arahant that is stuck on the insect or something, that means he don't have resultant any karma, or is it what Bhante mean?
So as Putujjana, any creature on the ground, if we don't know, so if we have a benefit of not creating akusala, I think same applies to an arahant too. If arahants, I think arahants know better than us. They know where to go. They know where to. Actually, there was a monk, like you said, Chakupala. Chakupala means his eyes were blind. You know what happened? This arahant, I will tell you the present story and then talk about the past story. This arahant, he was a blind person, but he's an arahant. So he was actually walking in the compound of the temple, and other monks saw he was stepping on the tiny ants and creatures. So they were complaining to the Buddha. And then the Buddha brought him forward and asked, what happened? He said, I don't know, he's a blind person, right? So other than that, the same benefit applies to everybody, because let's say arahants know much better than us. They know where the beings live better than us, because they have a very transparent and penetrative wisdom than us. But there are many occasions where we cannot specifically avoid our walking. If we don't know there's a big ant, but there are tiny creatures that we don't see, but they just walk. If they know, they won't, right? But the only folks who don't walk like that are the Jains, the people in the Jains, you know. Actually, I think the Buddhists, a lot of Buddhist, elements were copied from Jainism. It's pretty interesting. Let's say 28 Buddha. Huh? How come there are 28 Tirthankaras, Jinas, right? So this idea of 28 Buddhas come from Jainism. Actually, there were only 24 Buddhas, right? Starting from the Dipankara Buddha. Then Tanankara, Medankara, and so forth, they were taken to align with the Jain teaching. So what the idea is, the Buddhism is not a full copy of Jainism, but Jainism is still popular in India. Buddhism was finished in India, but Jainism still exists even now. Those naked folks and the other folks. It's a big tradition. It is such an older tradition. So oftentimes the problems occur between Buddhism, the Buddhist people and the Jain followers, right? Jain followers are pretty conservative, like pretty responsive about these things. They don't go, they're gonna sweep the floor and then they go. They don't drink water, they're gonna boil the water, but they didn't know there are some tiny unseen creatures in the water, but they just boil it in the way that they want. But still they do it. Anyways, they are more restrictive about the sila part, right? Arahants are not like that. They are not like very hardcore people about these things. But if they know, they don't. If they don't know, they just follow like a Putujjana, like a normal human being. That's the difference between Jainism and us.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, so let's go to the last three stanzas. They are pretty same, but the fourth line has a change, right? Who are we gonna ask this? So we have everybody here has been able to recite. Probably we can ask Chanisa. Chanisa, are you with us?
Yeah, yes, Bhante. Yes.
Chanisa. Are you
Yeah.
Chan? Chanisa, are you here with us? She might not be here. Oh, you wanted to recite? Yeah, please go ahead. Chan. The first verse number 15. Yani
Yani da bhutani samagatani bhumani va yani va antalike tathagatam deva manusam pujitam buddham namasama swati hotu.
Okay, great. Yani the bhutani samagatani bummani vaya niva antalike. Actually, this is how people like read. Now it should be Yani the bhutani samagatani bummani va yani va antalike. But this is not how the style goes. So this is why they recite Yani the bhutani samagatani bummani va yani va antalike. Tathagatam deva manusa pujitam buddhang namasama suati hotu. Then there are two more stanzas. The difference is Dhammam and Sangha. Now we know that these stanzas were recited by who recited these stanzas? Some folks? Sakka. Go to Sakka. Who's this guy? Sakka. Is there a permanent Sakka in a particular heaven? Is permanent?
No.
In the world of anicca, how come there be somebody who is nicca? Even the Buddha is not nicca, all anicca, right? So the Sakka is a position, like the Mara. That is why it said, Mara controls, creates all of us, including Mara. Interesting. The Vasavati Mara, right? This person creates, is happy for other folks, changes, send us temptations. Mara normally comes to a lot of shopping plans when you go to a shopping place. He comes in many forms as temptation. Buy this, buy this. It was very cheap in the summer, but now it's going to be like this. And it's probably the stuff that was sold at a high rate, now going to be very cheap. Cheaper actually, because of the change of the season. Lots of temptation. You go to a probably eatery, restaurant, bakery shop, lots of maras. Lots of maras. And you go to if I talk to a young folk, you go to a gadget shop, electronic shop, lots of. Because the temptations come in the form of the maras, right? Now I don't go to the beauty pageants. I'm stopping it. Because this is such a very lengthy, very complicated process. So Mara creates, maintains, destroys every being, including himself, right? And the final battle that the Buddha also had with the Mara, not with the Sakka. When the Mara came up and trying to challenge the Buddha, all the devas ran away, even the Sakka. They were very terrified. What's going to happen now? What's going to happen? They were talking, the commentary. He's so powerful, very powerful guy. That's why we are sometimes, succumb to the injuries of the Mara. This happens. We succumb to the Mara's injuries. So Sakka is a position, but this Sakka, the kind of the Sakka we know, he with his brothers and sisters did a very big good karma, constructing a big road. That's why we call the Magamana, and he was reborn as a Sakka. Now, where does Sakka live? In what heaven? What's his heaven? That's an interesting question, right?
Tawatinsa, Bhante.
What's that?
Is it Tawatinsa?
Tawatinsa.
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 Tawatinsa. So 30 people did something good That's why we call it Tavatinsa. Now, starting from Chatu Maharajika, Yama, Tavatinsa, Tusita, Nimman Rati, Parnimita Vasavati. This is how the order goes. Now, it is said that the Sakka is someone who is protecting the good folks, protecting Buddhism. But folks beyond Sakka, they are fully engaged with the Mara's temptation because they are the Maras, Nimmana Rati and Paranimita Vasavati. Unfortunately, some devotees who helped the Buddha also were reborn. I think I can exactly remember some of the folks they were reborn in Nimmana Rati or Paranimita Vasavati, right? Under the Mara's territory. So the idea here is the Sakka witness the whole thing. Visala city was plagued by threefold calamities, and then the people tried out different things, nothing worked out, and then they requested from King Bimbisara. He didn't like it, he just dropped the idea, and then they personally met with the Buddha. Buddha said, I would come, and he came with a couple other monks, probably 500 monks with Ananda, and then this happened. So the god Sakka was actually witnessing all these things. So they are very happy what really happened. That means the whole thing that happened to the Visala city was not something that could have been done by the Sakka or any other god, deity. This spiritual, the teaching about Sotapanna philosophy and whole blessing couldn't have been done by anybody in the world, only by the universe, only by the Buddha. This came true. Now his feedback verses come from the first verse of the Ratana Sutta. Yani the Bhutani Samagatani, Bummani Vaya Nivantani. Now because today is the last day we do the Ratana Sutta, let me ask somebody here, how do we understand, take the meaning here? Can somebody help me understand, maybe help us understand the translation of the first two lines here? Yani the Bhutani Samagatani, Bummani Vaya Nivantani. I will help you with the rest of the two. How do we take these two lines? They apply to the rest of the two stanzas too. How do we take them? What is Bummani? Bummani means the gods, deities that are living on the ground in this earth. Antalikke, sky, all the deities who live in the sky. What is the sky point? Are there places in the sky for the deities? Pretty mystic points, huh? How do we understand? How do they live in the sky? Do they meet with a lot of aircraft in the sky? What happens to them? These are moving deities. They are moving everywhere, right? So both the ground deva and the sky deva who have samagatani gathered, yani either here, any number of ground or sky deva who have gathered here. Bhutani means deva are part of the Bhuta. Tathagatang deva manussa pujita. What does it mean? Tathagatang deva manussa pujita. That means Tathagatam means another word of the Buddha. So the Buddha was respected by deva, deities. Manussa means humans. So the Buddha has been respected by both the deva and the manussa. Which manussa? Manussa in the Vesani, especially in this context. Buddha is respected by all the humans, but in this case, manussa in the Vesani. And then, what does it say? Buddhang namassama suvattiho. Buddhang namassama suvattiho. They worship the Buddha, namassama, worship the Buddha. Because of that, may all beings be well and happy. So easy to understand? Pretty easy to understand, right? So whatever the Deva who have gathered here from the ground and the sky have respected the Buddha along with the rest of the Deva and the Mahusa. So we again worship the Buddha. I think the second, third, I would say the other stanzas are the same under the verse number 15. Dhammang Namasami. So we worship the Dhamma. And the other one, the last one, we worship the Sangha. May you be well. So it's kind of a feedback, right? Now, normally when somebody listens to a Buddha's Dhamma talk, they feedback at the end, right? They feedback. Oftentimes they were positive feedbacks, but there are 1-2 suttas where there was a negative feedback. Remember what they are? Now, after the end of the sutta, everybody feels happy, and then they share their happiness with the Buddha. They say, what's the proper way? Abhikkantang bhogotama abhikkantang. There are different ways of saying that. It is just as like you light a lamp when we were in the darkness. We were lost on our way. You showed us the road to go to the path. That is one compliment, feedback compliment. Second one is we were in the darkness, but you lighted the lamp. Interesting, huh? There's a second one. And Andakareva tela pajjotandare. That means the light in the Andakareva tela pajjotandare. Mool hasava magang achikya. We were like lost on our way, but you showed us the path to go. That's another one. Abhikkantang va bhogutama. Excellent Gotama, excellent. So these are the beautiful, positive, feedback statements. But there are a couple of suttas where people were not happy with what the Buddha said. Have you ever found such suttas? Interesting. That means not everybody is happy, but majority of the suttas, they were happy. I tell you, I would say 98% suttas. But there are some suttas that were monks, monastics, they were not happy. The first sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, what was it? Mula Pariyaya Sutta. The first sutta of Majjhima Nikaya. There are 150 suttas. Were monks happy after hearing to that sutta? No. We can find out how it happened here. Let's type in the Mula Pariyaya Sutta. See how it goes. Okay, Mula Pariyaya Sutta. Okay, Majjhima Nikaya 1, at the end of the sutta. Okay, that is what the Blessed One said. This place, the monks did not delight in the Blessed One words. See? They were not happy about what the Buddha said. It is because they did not understand it. Not the words were okay, not understandable. Because this teaching is about the papancha, about the proliferation. So the monks could not understand. This happens to many people, right? When you don't understand some Dhamma talks. This doesn't make sense to me. Probably I don't know. I'm not at that level, right? Anyways, so these 3 stanzas in the Ratana Sutta talk about great compliments given by both Sangha. He has another name. We call him Indra also. Remember? Indra. He is introduced as Indra in Sanskrit, especially in Mahabharata, Ramayana, in Sanskrit works, in Veda. It is said that Indra is very powerful because the Sakka, same name. Okay, now we have come to the end of the Ratana Sutta thing, but so I want you to ask any question about the whole Ratana Sutta discussions, because next Friday we will be going to Metta Sutta, a brand new sutta. So it's the time for other questions about Ratana Sutta. Yeah, any questions about Ratana Sutta? Anywhere about Ratana Sutta? The idea, the story, I think the most important thing is the Sotapanna teachings of the Ratana Sutta. I think not many people understand in that way. So oftentimes, I tell you the normal understanding, oftentimes people think this is just a blessing only. But with our discussion, I've been trying to help you out understanding it's not only that. Okay, Ratana Sutta is more likely taken as the best sutta about the becoming a Sotapanna. I tell you something very interesting in my research. Where do you find Sotapanna teachings in the canon, in the Sutta Pitaka? Now let's say you want to find out some Sotapanna teachings in the Sutta Pitaka. Where do you find? Mostly people go to the Sotapatti Samyutta. This is a part of the Samyutta Nikaya. But I tell you, you don't find the important elements of Sotapanna that you see in the Ratana Sutta in those teachings. That means the explanation about how to become a Sotapanna and other rest of the stuff that you see in the Ratana Sutta explanation is not given in the Sotapatti Samyutta, where the bigger version of Sotapatti teachings. You don't see that in there. That means this teaching about Sotapanna is very interesting. That is when we take about Sotapanna teaching. But what about the folks who don't know that this sutta is about Sotapanna? So that's a huge shortcoming. Okay, I think we got a question here. See that. Why sometimes they use Tathagata and sometimes use Buddha? Both same meaning. No. I think we already discussed this difference in a previous discussion. Tathagatan is the official, more professional word. I would say professional, more official, formal word to understand who the Buddha is. Buddha is a common term to any arahant, but when it is taken, when the triple gem classification is taken, we normally say Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. But Tathagatan is a more official term about the state of the mind of the Buddha. It says Tatha Agatan, someone who has gone to the truths, right? That's very specific to the Samma Sambuddha. We don't use Tathagatan to any other person other than the Samma Sambuddha. But Buddha you use even to Arahant, even to Pacceka Buddha, but not Tatha. Make sense? Does it make sense? Hope so. Okay, we take, yeah, Hema, you have a question? Yeah, we don't hear you once again. Unmute.
Okay. Bhante, I always notice that in the chanting book is normally in the front portion, the first two sutta to be chanted. And it is an important sutta, right, for chanting, for blessings, and mention of the Ratana, the triple gems and all that, beside Sotapanna content, right?
You mean to take Ratana Sutta just as a blessing?
I mean, normally it's been used to chant in for any. I notice normally chanting is a very important sutta to chant.
Yeah.
Really?
We don't say important sutta. This is the regular way of chanting. Let's say if you invite a monk over to your house, if a monk is to chant, they don't chant these longer suttas, right? So it's kind of it's a packed version of chanting. But how the sutta is going to be important has to be understood with these aspects of Sotapanna in Ratana Sutta, Mangala Sutta, how to create blessing. Now we said about Mangala Sutta in our discussions.
Yes.
People think only the blessing part that they can get from being recited. But we added another layer onto that. I'm not saying, yeah, this go, keep on reciting, keep on listening. But other than that blessing, the biggest blessings come from the Mangala Sutta when you create blessings. Now, when you say blessing, no, I'm going to go to a temple, I'm going to get the blessings from the whoever there, probably from a monastery, probably from somewhere. But have you ever thought about that there are lots of blessings that I have to create by myself? That means blessings don't come naturally most of the time. We have to create also while getting blessings from others. So that teaching is not popular among many who listen to this. They thoroughly depend on somebody's chanting. So I say, keep on the chanting, keep doing the chanting thing, but at the same time, this is the intellectual part. Even in the Ratana Sutta, a lot of people only take it as a calamity, difficulty sutta. Let's say when you have a pandemic, you go and get somebody to recite it. But here, you say, no, there is something very additional, plus the prima fact, I would say the primary thing about Ratana Sutta is to understand the intellectual part of Ratana Sutta. That is how to become a Sotapanna. See, I mean, these are the parts that are lacking in our popular culture. That's what we've been trying to explain. Now, in the Metta Sutta, there's something, but I'm not going to share now. Let's leave that up to the discussions that are upcoming.
Thank you, Bhante.
So I encourage you to do the both. Don't just drop it. Chanting has to go. At the same time, look at the intellectual side. That's how
I have a feeling that for the Mangala Sutta, it's easier to understand what to do. But for Ratana Sutta, I think it's quite difficult. What actually the each stanza that lead us, what should we do? Mainly to become a Sotapanna and above. So I think chanting side for Mangala Sutta is easy on which do this one very clearly carry an understanding written. But Mangala Sutta, I think is quite a deep and meaning that we need to go inside and to understand it before we can do something that like to create the Sotapanna chance. Yes, is my feeling.
That's not a surprise. If you look at the words, Mangala Sutta is short. Ratana Sutta is a bit descriptive, on the literal sense, it's not a surprising thing. On the other hand, there are many lines. Now you see in the verses of the Ratana Sutta, they are not typical verses. We call them in Pali, Ayamaka Patyas. We call it not a 4-line verse. Mangala Sutta is a real standardized verse, but the Ratana Sutta, how many lines are there actually? Many lines. But don't be discouraged. The important part is not that you're going to be a proficient person in Pali language. The important part is you understand chanting. This is something I've been carrying on, but I know the intellectual part of this sutta, that is to attain sutta, right? So when you want to practice it, you are not making the Pali as a threat to you, right? Pali is there to understand, not creating Pali. I don't know, it's Pali. Not keeping it as a threat, but making it as an opportunity to learn, right? So you know the meaning now. We've been discussing one by one. So I don't think, but on the surface level, yeah, what you said is right. Literally, lots of words. But the thing here is whether we know the right teaching of these suttas. That's the most important thing. Because you can listen to this chanting even online from anybody, right? So that's a very usual, what you call, not a very difficult thing. But you don't see that people talk about these elements, creating blessings. Now I tell you. And then Sotapanna philosophy. Have you ever heard people talk about this thing? No, because they don't know exactly how to, describe this in this particular way, especially with the commentary. There is a Pali problem, like what you said. Many words are here, less words are there. The problem is with them too, right? So that's the issue here.
Thank you, Bhante.
Mhm. And it applies to Metta Sutta too.
Bhante, could you please elaborate more about Vicikicca? Is it the same as Vicikicca?
Okay.
Is it the same as the tradition, as we know that there are so many traditions passed down by our late ancestors, that this thing can be done, and the other things cannot be done? Is it other Vicikicca? Okay.
Okay, so in Ratana Sutta, Vicikicca seems a bigger version of anti-wisdom teachings. Now, I think I can probably I can't open the commentary version here. They talk about something very interesting. They talk about what do you call? Let me give you the right idea of the Vicikicca that we understand in the Ratana Sutta. But it's not the normal doubts that people struggle because of their stereotype cultural problems, right? But let me find that for you. Probably it takes time because if I'm going to open it, but I will tell you the rough idea. The rough idea is, if there is anything that is bothering your wisdom, that is called a doubt. That's the larger version. So anti-wise perspectives of our life. That means, let's say you get to question more, especially the spiritual stuff. We are supposed to question things. It's okay. Like as a researcher, you have to question, right? You have to have a hypothesis, you have to question, otherwise you won't get there. But on a spiritual level, especially on the application side, there are some of the primary doubts that we should not have. One of the doubts is doubts about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Now we may have lots of doubts about. That's why you question, right? You ask questions. You have doubts. You need to clear them, right? And doubts about the previous life and the next life. Do people consider these as big problems? Are they concerned? If somebody asks you, "Can I see your palm?" Who is not giving that hand to that particular person? So worried about the next life and the past life. So much concern about who was I? Who am I gonna be? These are identity view. Buddha said in the Sabbasa Sutta. Because people are so definitely, we've been spending lots of life. If the Buddha was born as an animal in the Bodhisattva life, so how come are we going to be excluded from that? As a Bodhisattva, was he reborn if he was to be reborn as an animal, what are the talks about us? Discussions about us. So we should not worry about the past and the future. Just spend our life well in this life. So, and the doubts about the Patisamuppada, depend origination, and then also some of the practices. So, the doubts that people have about the stereotypes, the cultural other roots, they are doubts, but they are not the doubts a Sotapanna is going to, what do you call, a Sotapanna aspirant is going to get over. Because they are we also can understand these are stereotype things, right? Let's say when you understand a cultural issue, right? Like cultural issues, also colorful Buddhist stuff. We know this is culture, this is a ritual. So it's not a big issue. But the doubts that we take in the Sotapanna, in the Sotapanna's case, they are bigger doubts about our spirituality. They are not the family issues, actually. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bhante.
But the problem is the spiritual doubts are the ones we can at least try to overcome. But the doubts which come from family are not even negotiable at some point. Those people are not prepared to talk them out, right? Because they maintain their personal identities differently. Spiritual doubts, you can read a book, you can understand. I mean, there is a way out. But sometimes the family issues and the stereotype things you can't change. Rather than you walk away sometimes. Respect the people, but you understand it. So it's like that. Okay, it's already time is gonna go fast. Any other question? We take another 1-2 minutes, and then we can wrap this up.
Bhante, now, for example, when you are chanting the Pirit for this sutra, then normally there's an order for the initially taking this pencil, then after that for the, especially for the hidden powers for the protection of the Bhante, for this like that. What are the initially taking for this security, or this for the whoever the chanting people Bhante or the people? That is according to my knowledge, I think initially we are chanting for our protection. After that, these other things.
Yeah. To me, I want to make sure that there shouldn't have a list. Whatever speaks to your mind. Now there are lots of devotees. They chant their own way of suttas, the way of the chanting and the selection of the suttas. Right? If we ask from Bella, she has a different way of chanting, the Thai style and all that. Right? And even other folks here, Emma, Ariana, all these people, they chant probably they have a handbook given by the temple. But probably if they don't have a lot of time, they chant some of the very suttas that they have in their mind. There's no this way. In my thought, I think you have to create your custom list. Make it a custom list. Make a custom list, because people have a problem with the time. That's a big issue in today's world. But because I don't think people have time to chant Mangala, Ratana, Metta all along every day, probably they chant Metta Sutta only. I think what matters is something very interesting. What matters is your thoughts of loving kindness. This is the most important thing that we need to understand while chanting. The protection comes when you really care others. Right? Now, it is not a protection. Now, we know there are certain situations, but we cannot apply that to a normal monk. Remember, there was a boy who is going to be eaten by a devil, right? Dighayu, right? So the Buddha said, I'm going to your house, make a pavilion, the monks and myself going to chant suttas for 7 days. And then it is said that the child was safe. The devil could not take the child. But we cannot simply apply this to a bunch of Putajjana monks. But still we carry the idea, the narrative, right? We still carry the idea. I mean, there's no problem in respecting and then let the thing happen. But if you really ask me, how is the protection created? That's a bigger topic. So I would say not A sutta, B sutta, C sutta are more powerful than D, E, F, right? We cannot pick that way. But when everybody is going to chant, there is a certain order. Panchasila, 5 precepts, Buddha Vandana, Dhamma Vandana, Sangha Vandana, maybe a couple other stanzas, and then chant at least Metta Sutta. Other than that, I don't think that by chanting a specific sutta, you get a big protection, I would say, like a big protection right away. I think you get the protection in a couple ways. Number one, the person who is chanting, the level of the spirituality of the person who is chanting. That's number one, right? Number two is your degree of loving kindness and compassion. right? Number 3 is your environment. Sometimes you don't clean the place properly, right? Especially for chanting, we need a good clean area, I would say, keep the place, because it's said that the deva always come to the clean places, the good people, right? So I think if these 3 are met, I don't think we have to worry about a specific order, but there is certain order that is already accepted by everybody of us. So because we don't go to see chant Metta Sutta before Buddha Vandana Dhammavandana, right? So in terms of the suttas, you can pick whatever the suttas that makes you, impressive, and so forth. Yeah, that's all. Vinita, are you having a difficulty with the big paper in front of you?
No.
Looks like you're writing down lots of stuff.
No, I was just going through the notes.
Okay, notes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's wind this up, otherwise it's taking a lot of time. Let's share all the good karmas, transfer all the good karmas with the deities and the departed people. First, let's transfer all the good karmas to departed individuals that passed away in the name of all of us. May the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us, our devotees, our friends, monks, everybody over there, everywhere in the world, joining from many countries, be able to receive all these good karmas. May they be able to switch to a better place if they were reborn in a painful state earlier. If they are already in a better place, comfortable place, may they be able to use these good karmas to listen to more Dhamma and practice more Dhamma, and finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's recite the stanzas. Idang me nyati nang tu sukita huntu nyati. Idang me nyati nang tu sukita huntu nyati. Idang me nyati nang tu sukita huntu nyati. May all the good karmas be shared by all the Deva, Naga, Mahika. May they protect, bless all of you, the monks, devotees, participants, everybody, even your family members, and everybody, for good health, quality of life, and prosperity. May the Deva, Naga, all the Mahikas protect all of you everywhere, all the time. May the Deva, Naga, Mahika also attain the final bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha ammihi samritam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha ammihi samritam punya sampadam sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha ammihi samritam punya sampadam sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha cha bhummatta devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu lokasasana. Akasattha cha bhummatta devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu desana. Akasattha cha bhummatta devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu mang paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas that we've been accumulating in all these ways be helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana siris nichang bandha pachayino chattaro dhamma vadhanti ayuvanu sukham balang Ayurarogya sampatti sangha sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate saminchatu. Sadhu. Sadhu. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a good night. And then take
Thank
care
you,
till
Bhante.
we see next
Thank you.
Friday with the new sutta.